What we find may challenge us and push on our established boundaries of creativity and innovation. But in an era of unprecedented and accelerated change, we must respond. Merely releasing the 2014 report is not enough, given the importance of its indicators for the competitiveness of our people, our businesses, and our nation. We have every expectation that each speaker, and especially our panel discussion, will address, discuss, and challenge each of us to think about what the report means to and how it can be used to map the way forward for Trinidad and Tobago. On that note, I would like to call forward Mr. Selvin Ramroop, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the National Information and Communications Technology Company Limited, iGovTT. iGovTT is one of the sponsors of this event, and it is in the capacity that Mr. Ramroop will be addressing our gathering this morning. Mr. Ramroop.
This is Ingrid Suratan, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Science and Technology, Professor Miguel Carrillo, Executive Director, and Professor of Strategy, Otto Lockjack Graduate School of Business, Mrs. Vashti Miraj, Keynote Speaker and Head Legal Services of the Ministry of Science and Technology, representatives from the Ministry of Science and Technology, representatives of the board and management of the National Information and Communication Technology Company, iGovTT. Members of today's panel, Dr. Ronald Ramkisoon, economist and moderator, Lisa Agard, legal consultant, Ministry of Science and Technology, Dr. Marika Alana Kim Ortega, I hope I got that right, consultant with the Ministry of Science and Technology, and Ms. Lorcan Camp, CEO of Infotech Caribbean Limited. Distinguished members of the audience, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed a pleasure to address you today at this very important gathering for the national launch of the World Economic Forum's Global Information and Technology Report 2014. This year is no different from any other in terms of the anticipation that we in the ICT sector feel every year at this time of the year for the release of this report. The Global Information Technology Report can well be regarded as a proxy for measuring an economy's growth potential. Indeed, many more practitioners outside the field of technology are coming to grasp with the significance of this particular report. Today, it is no secret that those countries that make well-planned investments in technology, human capital, and skills development are those that are best poised to build and sustain global competitiveness. Noting, therefore, the impact and implications of the report, along with our country's trust to implement robust technological and complementary sustainable development activities, iGovTT is proud once more to partner with the Otto Lockjack School of Business for the local launch of the Global Information Technology Report. This is our third year sponsoring this national release, and it is certainly our intention to continue supporting the event as we seek to raise the awareness of ICTs and its impact on growth and wealth creation. Our partnership with the school is actually representative of a wider model of collaboration used by iGovTT in the delivery of services. For us at iGovTT, the power of partnership is quite integral to delivering value for our clients in government as well as the wider population. iGovTT works in partnership with government ministries and agencies to extend the reach and efficiency of popular public services, including ICTs, as well as our innovative and integrative TT Connect suite of service delivery channels. TT Connect is our integrated service delivery solution for bringing about a more coordinated approach to the dispensation and receipt of government information services. To illustrate, we were quite pleased to have partnered with the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Development in vastly simplifying access to the GATE's e-service program by making registration for the GATE e-service ID available at all 6 of our TT Connect service centers located throughout the country. This has removed the bottleneck at the ministry in processing applications for the e-service ID, thereby considerably easing the registration process for tertiary students. It has also successfully reduced some of the administrative burdens of the ministry in treating with this initial stage of the GATE application process. We were also delighted to partner with the Ministry of Science and Technology in providing project management services for the outfitting of the STAR-TT ICT access centers in the communities of Pinal and Kumana, which were delivered in February and March of this year, respectively. We are aggressively working to deliver 2 more centers in Guayagüeyari and Marugud by the end of June 2014. By the end of the STAR-TT project, we would have delivered 44 access centers throughout Trinidad and Tobago. In this regard, we celebrate with the ministry as we continue to make great strides together in minimizing the existing digital gap in Trinidad and Tobago. Later this year, in collaboration with the e-Business Roundtable and the Ministry of Science and Technology, we will also host the biennial National ICT Business and Innovation Symposium. This symposium is considered the premier local event for discussing and presenting local, regional, and international developments in the move towards innovative and ICT-related distinction for the establishment of an intelligent and competitive society. We have treated with many hot topics, including cloud computing, innovation, cybersecurity, among others. We invite you to stay tuned for more information at the National ICT Business and Innovation Symposium in the coming months. This year's Global Information Technology Report was published under the theme Rewards and Risks of Big Data. Big data, sometimes described as the exponential growth and availability of unstructured as well as structured data, has been part of the business of many well-known global firms for quite some time. However, its specific application is relatively new to governments. In fact, a few governments around the world have been earnestly attempting to assimilate the concept in varying degrees into their public sector operations. Their intention is simple. They are trying to integrate and analyze large amounts of information to address national priorities, such as providing easy and equal access to public services, driving greater citizen participation in public affairs, and increasing transparency. It is interesting to note that the governments that are actively pursuing big data projects tend to be those that are traditionally counted among higher performing economies. For example, one well-known application of big data in its simplest form has been the establishment of online government data portals, where thousands of data sets from different government agencies and the departments are collected and made freely available and accessible online to the public. These data sets can then be used by resourceful persons to build useful applications or to facilitate research and analysis for dealing with commonly experienced problems. The American government launched their data site in 2009, and Singapore too launched theirs 2 years later in 2011. As a result of the data released through their site, the Singaporeans now benefit from apps such as Accra on the Go, which allows a user to search a government business and corporate registry database to see if a business firm or a company is registered in Singapore. Another app called Before You Dig uses a Singapore map and data as its basis for helping contractors ascertain the presence of underground pipes and cables in and around any proposed dig site, thereby helping to preserve valuable assets like pipes and utility cables during infrastructural work projects. iGovTT has and continues to affirm its support for open data and open government, which all straddle the part of big data. We would very much like to see the emulation of successful data initiatives already started by our foreign counterparts. It is for this reason that iGovTT has, in past times, forged meaningful partnerships with the likes of Singapore. We aim to learn from their project successes and replicate as much as we can here in Trinidad and Tobago. Allow me to publicly thank the Minister and his staff at the Ministry of Science and Technology, who, having been in effect for 2 years, have endorsed us in our mission for ICT engineer transition and development, first in the public sector and secondly in the wider country. As with any transformational change initiative that involves paradigm shifts and behavioral change, the challenges of achieving advanced ICT development are very real. The road to ICT readiness is indeed long, but nevertheless, we continue to forge ahead with a singular and steady vision. We challenge other government ministries to realize their best potential in public service delivery by supporting the allocation of funds into much-needed ICT development projects in their respective areas. At iGovTT, we too challenge ourselves to always give our best in advising and delivering on impactful ICT-related projects and programs that benefit government and the national citizenry. In closing, I thank the Directorate for organizing, Directorate and Organizing Committee at the Otto Lockjaw Graduate School of Business for once again staging this launch. We have provided an excellent opportunity to bring key ICT-centered discussions to the fore. Through this event, you are also reinforcing the importance of measuring and analyzing internationally accepted indices on our country's relative performance in ICT rankings. I thank you for your commitment and look forward to this morning's highly anticipated panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramroop, for reminding us that big data has its greatest value and application. We are going to change the order of the program a bit, and we're going to move right into the release of the World Economic Forum Global Information Technology Report results for 2014 by Professor Miguel Carrillo, who is the Executive Director and Professor of Strategy here at Arthur Lockjaw Graduate School of Business. Professor Carrillo.
Yes, good morning. How are you? All protocols observed. Let's move on. Will you agree with me?
Yep.
We're an island. We are surrounded by water. What are the elements that connect our island to the world? The ships, the airplanes, yes, cables, underwater cables, right? And information technology, satellites, right? So, information technology is not something that it's a nice thing to have. It's fundamental for us to keep belonging and to be a very active part of the world. Look, one of the interesting things about being small is that being small brings a lot of important disadvantages. Lack of critical mass. Not any industry is big enough. I mean, we have a large energy sector, but even that is not large enough. You know, it's really tiny compared to other countries. Now, one of the reasons why information technology is so critical is because it really is the only way to become competitive. If you think about information technology, you know, it's actually what turns data into intelligence. You turn data into what? Into information, information into knowledge, and knowledge into intelligence, right? So basically what we're going to do is we're basically going to go through the report as fast as we can, and then we will try to draw some conclusions in the form of questions. Yeah, it sounds weird, I know. So, yes, this is the laser is not working, so no, now it's working, sorry. But it's not that, yeah, now it's working. So, basically, it helps us to understand the degree of competitiveness in the ICT sector. Basically, it's very important that the developed countries need to reinvent themselves in terms of retain or restore their, typical advantage. And the developing ones are seeking greater efficiency. Now, this is the index that we're talking about, Networked Readiness Index, which is basically a comprehensive assessment of how, are we linked to the world in general. And it has 4 sub-indices: the environment, how ready we are, the usage, and the impact that we have. So, just as a guess, where do you think, which are the sub-indices that you think we are actually ranked the best? We are the best. We are better ranked. In which one, if we choose of the 4, choose one that you think that we are actually have a more favorable rank in the world. Is it environment, readiness, usage, or impact? Usage? Yes? And what about the worst? Impact. Yeah, I will actually would like to be, if we're okay with this, maybe these ones, might not be as important, but at the end of the day, this is a product of this, right? So, it is a mixture of qualitative and quantitative data, and as well data from all these different agencies, and a survey from the Executive Survey of GCR, and actually we were in charge of gathering the data. And this is the component of the executive opinion. It is basically dual certification procedure, large and small companies, key industries from very, very different sectors. We basically excluded the incomplete surveys, and we run a multivariate outlier analysis to basically take away, yes, outliers. One of the interesting things about these ranks is if we see a subindex that actually has a very sudden jump from one year to another, it raises a lot of suspicion to the people there in Switzerland. So if there is no substantial reason why there is that jump, we will actually use the previous year data. Okay, so that's quite interesting. However, we didn't find many outliers this year, so that was quite good. There was some weight in the sectors that we do, and then we use as well the moving country averages as well. This year, 148 nations were included, which is 98% of the world, of the GDP. There's other reports like the Travel and Tourism Competitiveness, the Global Enabling Trade Report, the Gender Gap Report, the Financial Development Report, and now the most recent one is the Global Energy Architecture Report that actually we will present in the next couple of weeks. So how did we do in general? Well, the 2 groups dominate basically the Scandinavians and the Asian tigers. Finland number 1, Singapore, Sweden, Netherlands, Norway. Look at this. From 1 to 6, countries that are quite small, less than 6 million people. Quite interesting. And then we have UK, which is a little bit big, Denmark, USA, Taiwan. But look, from 1 to 6, very tiny countries. So our smallness might not need to be an excuse for us not to be in the top players. So this is where we are right now. We were in 72, and this year our rank is 71. So we actually move 1 up. So the negative is an improvement. The positive is a decrease. So if you ask me what are the big news, is that compared to Latin America and the Caribbean, we were 2 or 3 of the countries that actually did improve. The rest of the region actually got worse, right? We can actually claim that there was not a significant change. It's more or less business as usual. However, we were able to strive in a context that is not actually supporting the rest of the countries. If you think about the case of Mexico, one of the reasons why they dropped so much is because they actually move from being an efficiency-driven economy to an innovation-driven economy. So that changes completely the rules of the game. Now, in the case of Barbados, well, one of the things that changed dramatically was as well the environment, the business environment, right? But what we can see is countries like Puerto Rico, like Uruguay, are getting worse. And what's really interesting is what's happening to Brazil. Brazil is supposed to get better, but it's actually getting worse. So we have this trend in the region of getting a little bit going down, where we're actually maintaining our positive trend, which is quite interesting. So these are the countries who are actually ahead of us. And it shows that this region, there are regions like the Scandinavian region or the Asian region that actually are being much more dynamic and more aggressive in pursuing a more networked economy, right? And now, one of the reasons is TT is now compared with high-income group countries, which actually is quite interesting. Because although we had just a slight move in ranks from one place, despite of the change from efficiency to innovation driven, we were able to hold our position, which is, I think, quite interesting. So these are the linkages that we have, and these are basically all the different subindices. And in terms of the environmental subindex, the score that we have remains constant. The readiness of index, we fell from 5.1 to 5. Usage from 3.7 to 3.9. And impact we increased from 3.1 to 3.2. So what's interesting is that our best score is in the usage, right? This is where we actually, readiness. This is where we are actually better. We're ready. We have the infrastructure in place, but for some reason, despite of having the infrastructure, we don't use it quite much. Look at the difference between readiness and the rest. We don't even have 4s in any of these subindexes. Which, we have the technology, we have access to infrastructure, but for some reason, we're not using it. Which is quite interesting. Now, this is basically how we move in ranks in the environment subindex. And this is, and this is how the percentage of score have changed, okay, over the years, which is not very much. It has remained quite constant. In terms of the score, we have two basic elements: political and regulatory environment, and business and innovation environment. So basically, this has remained quite constant. In terms of environmental perspective for investment, there are a couple of advantages. The regulatory environment, apparently is quite positive. Okay, it can be much better, but it's quite positive. And the business and innovation environment, in that regard, apparently is interesting. Especially, it's the business environment more than the innovation environment. The total tax rate still is quite attractive, okay, 25%. And the quality of management school, 34%. Well, what can I say about that, right? Now, these are some areas of improvement. The laws relating to ICT, look where we're ranking. Although we have some nice regulatory environment, still the laws are not so prone to promote networking. Look at the number of procedures to enforce a contract. This actually might be a little bit outdated because there has been some significant changes. But still, this is what they actually gather of information from Switzerland. And look at the number of days to enforce a contract. Remember, in this year, we have 148 countries. So we're basically one of the worst countries in the world in terms of the number of days to enforce a contract. So we have the technology, but no wonder people are afraid to use it, right? Now, look at this. In terms of business and innovation environment. Venture capital availability, I think there was an interesting event. I think it was this week or last week that we talked about this. Look at the rank. There is no culture of venture capital in this country, right? There's not even a club of angel investors. It's so hard to raise funds for entrepreneurs in this country that it's unbelievable. And I know, Lorcan, I know, where are you? Lorcan is a member of the Booster Business Incubator Board of Directors. And it has become a real challenge to raise funds for these. Our small businesses are actually there. Quite interesting, but it's something that we can change. Number of days to start a business, 125th. Tertiary education gross enrollment rate, and government procurement of advanced technology. So this might be kind of bad news, but honestly, there's nowhere else to go but up, right? So that's a good news. That's a good news, and I think that if you ask me, this might be a little bit easy, and we are now have a procurement bill that might actually could actually help us to improve this. You know, buying technology is not easy. You need certain level of expertise. Using technology is not easy. So, but the point here is we have to increase our expertise dramatically in technology management, and information technology. And we're going to build a case a little bit, going on. So, this is the downside, right? This is the readiness of index. So, in terms of readiness, in the ranking, we haven't improved, actually. We went from 45th place to 56. Let me just move on here. So, the upside, mobile network coverage. We're among the best in the world. Yes? Yeah, but we just don't use it for productive, instead of updating our Facebook, we should actually be making business with Colombia, So electricity production, we're quite good, Affordability, in terms of internet tariffs. And this is very important. Look at the rank what we are. Despite of being, basically we have three major players, right? How many internet providers do we have in the country? 6. So 6 internet providers, not bad at all. This is quite a good place. And look at the skills. Quality of educational system, quality of math and education, adult literacy rate, not bad at all, right? The only problem is the affordability of, I know there's a lot of people here from TSTT and Digicel, so take note of this, ladies and gentlemen. You might disagree or agree, this is the data that was gathered by the World Economic Forum, so it might be wrong. Yes. Yes. So what we have to work is with the industry to be sure that these folks have the right information. So usage, sub-index rank, basically we are the same. And these are the upside, okay? The individual usage, very good. Individuals using internet, well, you cannot get better than that. And the fixed broadband internet subs. The area of weakness, capacity for innovation, 123rd place. Let me just read it again. So again, there's nowhere else to go but up. And we have the technology available. We just don't use it. Okay? There is a knowing doing gap there that we have to fix and fill. Look, the business to consumer internet use, 96. So the technology exists, the infrastructure exists, but the utilization or the adoption of that technology to conduct businesses does not exist. Okay? I don't know if you guys have gone to, let's say, a Home Depot in the United States. And most of the cashiers are basically computers. You don't have a teller there checking you out. You know, you just slice your card, you pass through your items, and someone will just check you out at the exit. You do need as well certain, changing culture and mindset to adapt and adopt new technologies as well, right? So we improve a little bit here, okay? The impact, in terms of impact, this is the downside. Impact on ICTs, on new services and products, 118, which is deeply linked to our capacity for innovation, right? And the social impact, ICT use and government efficiency, 98th, and e-participation index, which we ranked 97. So very, very important areas of opportunities. These areas of opportunities hadn't changed in the last 3-4 years, had been the same. Okay, so we have a very clear agenda. This is how the rank has changed over the years. So we have, in terms of the rank, now we're in 71th place, which is not bad. Here, we were in this place because we were considering an efficiency-driven economy. Now, when we move from efficiency to innovation, we made this jump. And this is, the index has been actually being quite stable. This is the score. So the score hasn't changed really much, which is a good thing and a bad thing as well. I really pay much more attention to this score than to the actual ranking per se. Does that make sense? Right? So that's why whenever we say, well, we increase a rank or decrease, it's not as important as comparing ourselves with ourselves, right? So this is very important. And based on this, this is a school of business, and I think that one of the reasons why we still are stuck in our information technology strategy and utilization, adoption, I think it tends to rely on decisions taken at the top. Now, I wonder, what is the real technology readiness of CEOs and heads of industry in Trinidad and Tobago? How versed, how educated technology-wise are the key decision makers? How prepared are they to make bold decisions related to information technology or technology investments? So we prepared some questions for CEOs that we would like to send and get answers for, but maybe this the panel will actually give us some light about the answers to these questions. But, if we can ask one we all have cars, and our cars have some model, right? I know. What model is your car, sir? But what model? It's 2000? So 2014, excellent. Very good. But if we ask any CEO, okay, what model is your technology? The technology that you're using in your business, what model is it? Is it 2014? Is it 2000? Is it 1990? And usually, I've been asking this question to several CEOs, and usually the answer that I get is that their businesses run with technology that is, in average, between 10 and 20 years old. I'm not kidding. 10 to 20 years old. Quite interesting. Now, if your overall technology is, what model is it? What model is your information technology? What model is it? Okay. And this is quite an interesting question to answer. Now, the other question is, are you aware of the 2014 new model? Are you aware that there's some a model called Tesla, outside. How advanced is your IT culture? Or I call it the IQ of IT. The IQ of IT. I certainly will suggest something. Do you think that Excel is critical for any position? It doesn't matter what you do. Excel. Ask someone to actually try to do basic functions of Excel like an average or standard deviation or a correlation. You're going to be surprised how many people don't know how to use basic functions of Excel. Now, I always ask a very simple question whenever I meet with companies. How strong and updated is your customer database? Man. We always have problems with that. And how do we use our database to cross-sell? Okay, to understand consumer behavior? In what ways we are actually exploiting our data to run some smart analytics there? Actually, one of the things that I have realized, and we have realized at the school, is that the data is there, but you just don't use it. Okay, which is quite interesting. So do you use CRM, MRP, or ERPs? Do you actually use it and use it successfully? Have you ever done a supply chain map of your business? Have you ever mapped how your cash moves from one place to the other? How the materials are moved from one place to the other? Or how your information is moved from one place to the other? There's such a big gaps between steps in information. How long do you think it takes from a PO, purchase order, to be actually approved and to be executed? We have done this supply chain mapping for several companies. One of the largest, actually, in Trinidad and Tobago. We have seen that the gap between the time when the PO is approved and it is actually done is about 7 to 12 days. There's no need for that gap. Actually, the time that takes a PO to get approved is about 4.5 days. It doesn't make sense so much time, does it? Okay? But it's actually happening. So, now, do you see technology as an enabling, supplementary, or core capability? What role has technology in the life? Is it just something nice to have? It supplements what you do, or is it at the core of what you do? All the CEOs actually have answered to us, well, it's a core capability. It's at the heart. Well, I challenge you to go to any annual report of any public company in Trinidad and Tobago and count the number of times that the word technology is mentioned or the word innovation is mentioned. It's not a good, it's not a good feeling. We have to put in technology innovation more in our agenda. Now, is your current technology platform your future growth platform? And this is maybe one of the most important questions. Right? And last, if you're a CEO, how much of your decisions, especially your strategic decisions, are backed up by data, by information, and by intelligence? The less you use data to back up your decisions, the more you will have to rely on judgment, and the more you will have to rely on intuition. The more you rely on intuition and judgment, more prone are you to make bad strategic decisions. Because as we may actually know, as humans, we are very bad decision makers. It's proven by research. We're not good at making decisions. We're incredibly biased. So we have to improve, not only because it's good for the country, because it's going to help us to be more competitive, and maybe so because it will increase the quality of our strategic decision making. Thank you very much. So, Marcia?